Hi, Matthew.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little bit tired. It's a little early in the morning, but we push through.
Different hour
Yeah.
from here in Paris.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I was curious to know a bit more about you and your process with AI in general, and then maybe more about Pimento as well.
Okay. Well, I should start with the fact that uh, primarily before AI, I was a graphic designer and then a fashion designer. I went to school for fashion, and through that, I learned about Clo 3D and like emerging tech in fashion. And through that medium, working, within that confine, I discovered Gen AI. Before I had known about it and I experimented with it a little bit, but after a while, I realized, the potential of Gen AI, and I wanted to see if I could implement that into my design. So, I started with taking some of my older renders and running them through Midjourney or other programs and seeing the results. And I found them to be interesting. It was a cool way for me to really sort of heighten the visualization of the garments that I was designing, and sort of added like a little bit more of a creative touch that I could play with. So after a while, playing with AI, I just started getting more and more into it, and then working with Raspberry AI, and then really honing my craft. I discovered Pimento through some other creators on LinkedIn and whatnot, and I really wanted to sort of explore the tool and to see, outside of fashion, where I could take my skill set and see the results of that. And so, these past couple of months, I've been really enjoying Pimento and the whole creative process in general, and just seeing whatever ideas I could think of, and sort of visualize them using your tool. Yeah, this one was one of my favorites. I I'm honestly stammered enamored by the results of this one. The way the reflections hit on the sides, the sort of tasteful sort of silhouetting of the glass, or like these shards of glass, but they sort of still fill out the silhouette of the model. You can sort of see the shoulders here. Yeah, this was a really really good one. I think you know for a for like a campaign for like a bag or something, or like sunglasses, you could have like the logo on the side there, and then oh man, this one was probably one of my favorites for sure. This one came at complete random. That's
Mm.
sort of like the beauty of of AI and just experimentation, is that sometimes you'll spend an entire day trying to refine a single image, or you might strike gold just at random, and that to me is so compelling. And yeah, I really want to get better at sort of just getting it right the first time instead of it being random. But sometimes a little bit of randomness is okay too. I think I saw an image on Pinterest that sort of piqued my interest. I don't think I have it saved on my computer anymore, but it was very statuesque, and I wanted to see if I could replicate that. The model was sort of posing in a similar style with like the head tilted forwards and up, and just like the towering, effect. I wanted to see try to replicate that, but do it in my own way, and sort of implement that fabric movement, and as you can see, tension and release. I think that's very indicative of the result here. You can see, just from the model's posing, it's very tense, I guess, but the facial expression, the hair sort of blowing to the side, as well as like the sort of delicacy of the fabric. It speaks to somewhat of a release as well. Um, yeah, I think that the juxtaposition between sort of the stiffer like twill fabric of the blazer and the softness of like this cashmere or Egyptian cotton or something light and flowy on the side, and how it just sort of like envelops the model, and you can't really tell the where the actual garment construction ends and the and the other fabric begins. It's very hard to tell, but I think it adds to the sort of effect of it just being like this amalgamation of fabrics and textures and just hardness, texture and softness. I think it's cool. I think this one was really cool. And that's why I chose it. Yeah, for sure. This prompt style, I decided to include a subject as well as an aesthetic and a feeling, a mood, or like an emotional response to see like what the results would be if I added that. So as you can see, they start with a prompt and then a feeling, right? So resilience, calm within chaos, and then the subject. Yeah. So a structured dress, sharply tailored blazer, appears motionless, frozen in a moment of motion, and then a feeling of liberation, restraint, giving way to grace. Like I thought that was pretty cool, so I ran with that. And as you can see, the results were quite interesting. This one was cool. This one came out of a big batch of images. I thought this was really interesting. This was one of my favorites for sure. I love the colorway. I love the little details, the little stars on the side, the model's slick back hair really sort of, it's like, it doesn't take away from the composition. It's sort of just like a very subtle stylistic choice. Yeah, and then just like the cascade of water and the waves, I thought it was really cool as well. Definitely. It usually happens when I'm not happy with the results. I'll and like sometimes you go through dozens of iterations and you're not satisfied, and that the brain lag that comes with that. Sometimes I'll click enhanced prompt just to see what the results would be, and a lot of the times I'm surprised and happy with the results. I think one of them actually was a enhanced prompt result. I think it was the last one, the woman in the field with the flowing white sort of sateen fabric. That one I'm like 90% sure was an enhanced prompt. So yeah, shout out to the enhanced prompt. It really comes in clutch sometimes. I really like it. For the brief section or the tool, I really like the brief tool. It's really cool because it allows me to just sort of just vomit a bunch of ideas out into a big long prompt and then just have it just explode a whole bunch of different ideas. And oh man, it's so fun. It sort of takes the tedium of sort of tweaking and then clicking and then getting your full result and then tweaking again. I can just like, let me just see what happens, and then and then I get a whole bunch of different ideas and like the varying sizes and aspect ratios, as well as sometimes it comes out with different aesthetics as well. I really like that. It's just like it's like a very good way to start a project with the briefing tool. If there was anything I could recommend for people using Pimento, if you're going to start with a campaign or something like that, any specific idea, I'd recommend running it through the briefing tool, just so you can get as many different visual ideas out as possible, and cut back on sort of like the tedium of just going through and picking one or two different ideas and then redoing the prompt and then getting a couple more. You can just get them all at once. But yeah, so the way that I wrote this prompt out is that I would sort of start with a look, skinny male model, messy black hair, eyeliner, and then I'd have another look. I would just have a series of different looks, and then at the end I would make sure to sort of highlight the aesthetic style that I want to go with, and let that sort of sit and then just keep rendering until I sort of get a closer idea of what I'm looking for. And then after sort of pinpointing certain pics or certain looks that I like, I'll take those specifically and then break them down and then write a new prompt for those pictures and then sort of iterate on those ones specifically and then see if I can get, you know, more varied results from those pictures that I decided to go with. So yeah, long prompts, different looks, different ideas, punch it into the briefing tool, and then sort of go from there. You know, decide what you want to do, and then just experiment, I guess.